Good morning, everyone. My name is Michelle Nguyen. I'm the Peterborough Immigration Partnership Officer, and on behalf of New Canadian Center, I'd like to welcome everyone here today for the launch of our Peterborough Nogojiwanong Workplace Inclusion Charter. It's been a few years in the making, and I see a lot of familiar faces here who have been part of this journey this entire time, so I'm really happy to be finally launching it today and sharing it with all of you, and just receiving so much interest from the community for this project. I'm really excited to get rolling. And before we begin, I'd like to situate myself on this land. So I am a settler who benefits from living, working, and playing on Treaty 20 Michusagi territory, on the traditional territory of the Michusagi and Chippewa Nations, collectively known as the Williams Treaties First Nations. And as treaty people, we understand that it's important to learn and be aware of the ongoing and historical impact of colonialism on Indigenous peoples. And as I was reflecting on this acknowledgement, I was thinking back on the past month of some amazing community events that were organized by Kirk Lake and Indigenous communities here, like the powwow, the Rice Festival, and in particular, one of the experiences I had when I went to the powwow was meeting a vendor there. And I had a goal that day when I went to the powwow. See, I'm going on a trip to visit my friend in Germany next week, and you can see how I'm inspired by this, by my outfit today. But I wanted to seek books that were written by Indigenous authors because she had a baby, and I wanted to, share what I've learned in the past few years with her baby, a bit of what I know about the history of Canada as well. And this vendor was selling Indigenous books and gifts, and I found one and I brought it today. It's called I Can See You, and it teaches you the 5 senses and some vocabulary, and it was great. So I told her that. I was like, it's so great to see a curated selection of books for children, for adults, all educational, and just wonderful, like the rich culture. And she said, yeah, and she shared with me, like, I've been trying to get a storefront up. I currently have an online store. And for all this talk about reconciliation, as a business owner, it's been hard for me to set up my own physical storefront. She's been a public historian a librarian for years now, and she just wants to be able to share her gifts with the world. So I think that's a reminder of the amount of work that we still need to do to ensure that we dismantle the barriers so that marginalized groups and folks can have access to those opportunities and build towards economic prosperity. And I actually looked up the storefront online. The book, and I may not know how to pronounce it, but it's spelled Maadaookii. I believe it's Madauki. What it means is the act of sharing gifts with others. And again, I hope that we take inspiration from that and think of all the ways, as employers, as community members, how we can share our gifts with others and promote more equitable workplaces through this charter and other projects that your workplaces are committing to. So I hope we think about that throughout today and think about how we can do that in partnership with each other as well. And with that said, this event would not be possible without our sponsors, who are Immigration, Refugee, Citizenship Canada, Community Futures Peterborough, and our event sponsors, United Way, Peterborough District, and the Workforce Development Board. So now I'd like to invite Jennifer LaMancha, who is the CEO of the Workforce Development Board. She is a member of our Peterborough Immigration Partnership Coordinating Committee, as well as the chair of the Peterborough Nogojiwanong Workplace Inclusion Charter Steering Committee, to come up and share a few words with us today.
Good morning. Can everybody hear me okay? Yes? Good. Thank you so much for the opportunity, Michelle, to say a few words and for that introduction. I'm really excited to be here this morning to celebrate the launch of the Peterborough Nogojiwanong Workplace Inclusion Charter. The work that we do at Workforce Development Board involves researching the conditions of the local labor market And we often hear from employers, including those in Peterborough, about the challenges they have around human resources. And so, there are so many benefits of an inclusive workplace, a positive workplace culture. When people feel welcome and they feel a sense of belonging and a sense of purpose, staff thrive, and so does business. In early 2024, we developed, or there was a steering committee, as Michelle mentioned, that was led by Michelle Nguyen, who is the Peterborough Immigration Partnership Officer. And I had the honor of participating in the committee and also, as Michelle mentioned, chairing that steering committee. And I wanted to thank the committee members. The members were a number of very talented and dedicated individuals from a number of different community organizations. So a big thank you to each and every one of the steering committee members for your time, for your energy, for your dedication, and for helping to guide the delivery and the development of what ended up being the Workplace Inclusion Charter, and it ultimately was the booklet that was used in the pilot program. So I'm not sure who is here from the steering committee, but when I say your name, I'm hoping that you can stand or wave if you're comfortable with that, because we would like to acknowledge your presence and thank you so much for all you gave to this project. So Drew Watman from Rainbow Service Organization, Alicia Rivacha from the United Way Peterborough. I'm not sure if Alicia is here, but we now have Tanya Cran representing United Way Peterborough. Megan Sturpin from Peterborough Regional Health Center. Hi, Megan. Rebecca Wasson from Muskoka Corpus Employment Services. And Michelle Nguyen, as I mentioned, Michelle led the steering committee. And on behalf of the committee, Michelle, I just wanted to thank you so much for leading the committee, the subcommittees, everything you did, and your commitment and dedication to the delivery of the project. This is super exciting today, right, with this launch. So congratulations, thank you to everybody who has been involved in this project, and I'm really looking forward to hearing from the employers about their workplace inclusion initiatives. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer, for those kind words. It's truly been a pleasure working with you these past few years. Next, I'd like to invite Devin Gerard, who is the Executive Director of Community Futures Peterborough, to offer some remarks.
Thank you. Thanks for having me today. Good morning, everyone. Oops. Sorry. That's okay. I'll just do this instead. I just wanted to thank you all for having us and having us here at today's event. This is a really exciting milestone you've been able to reach. We're especially looking forward to, of course, continuing to work with you and the team and local employers in the region in helping to create a more inclusive economy. My name is Devin Gerard. I'm the Executive Director of Community Futures Peterborough. We have been so proud to work with community partners like you on projects like this. Through our Community Advancement Program, known as CAP, we were able to provide the organization with $10,000 to help bring this project to life. I think it's important for you to note we received obviously a large number of projects to approve, and this project was very enthusiastically approved by our board of directors. There's such recognition for the leadership that you and your team are showing in our community, and I just wanted to take a moment to celebrate that and thank you for it. The Workplace Inclusion Charter is a really important step forward. It's giving our business community the tools and the opportunity to lead by example. So to not only just develop inclusive policies in workplaces, but to keep checking in and ensuring that inclusivity is lived and not just written down. Our CAP program is designed to support projects that foster economic development, and inclusion is a really powerful part of that, so kudos to you. Congratulations to everyone who was involved in this project. We look forward to working with you, our local businesses and community as this charter takes shape, and together as we grow together a more welcoming and inclusive Peterborough. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Devin, for your wonderful words, and please check out Community Futures Peterborough. They support a lot of wonderful projects, as they've mentioned, and we're really grateful for the support that they gave to this project. So here is the agenda for today. I will do a little spiel about the charter because I suppose you want to learn about what it is and how you want to participate. And then we will move on to our panel discussion where I'll invite our employers who participated in the pilot project to come up and share their experiences. Following that, we will have our special speakers from Lindy to talk about the Brewing Confidence Program. It's one of the best practices that we'd like to share. And then we'll have lunch at 12:30. And then after lunch, we will move into the community training program workshop called In the Shoes of a Language Learner. So we have a packed day. I hope that you're caffeinated and ready to participate in what I think will be a truly great program. And thank you again for being here. Okay, so I feel like I have presented to a lot of your organizations already about what this charter is, but for those who are hearing about it for the first time, it is a toolkit and program that's free of cost to employers of any sizes from any sector, and it's a way for you to promote an inclusive workplace by committing to concrete actions and practices that promote the integration of equity-deserving communities and groups such as women, racialized persons, persons with disabilities, Indigenous peoples, seniors, forgive me if I've forgotten it, Two-Spirit, LGBTQIA+. There will be a lot of acronyms today. So, all of those groups, and of course, just promoting their integration ensures that the workplace, everyone can thrive there, right? So our goals of the charter is to foster a welcoming and inclusive community with employers as the leaders. We want to support employee attraction and retention because that is something that is important to businesses and organizations here. We want to be able to boost productivity and innovation, and research has shown that inclusive practices do lead to that. And more importantly, we want to enhance overall employee well-being. So in order to help achieve that, we put together a toolkit that consists of a declaration of commitments. And as you walked in here, my lovely colleague Aska had, given you a booklet in print, and we have QR codes too if you'd like to access it digitally. I was trying to save some trees, so I only printed so many copies. If you could share that, one per organization, but please be reassured to know that you can access it online, and I will share it with you after as well. But in there, you will see a declaration of commitments. I'll just show that now. And so I will need 2 signatures from you, one from your executive leadership and one from an operational staff, to ensure that across your organization, people are committed to carrying out these commitments and working on an action plan for the charter. And then there's an employer self-assessment, which you'll hear more a little bit about from the employers who participated in the pilot. And essentially, it just helps you go through a list of practices that promote inclusive workplaces to see, are your policies inclusive? Are you thinking about all the ways to engage your employees from different groups? Have you reviewed your onboarding or offboarding practices to change the language or make it accessible to those who are language learners? Have you included a diversity statement to welcome those from all backgrounds to apply to your jobs? Things like that. So we have those lists of suggested commitments as well, along with a list of DEI competencies and also resources to help you carry out those specific commitments. But I want to preface and say that it is very flexible. It's meant to be a guide, and I know that each organization is different. Many of you have actually started on your DEI plans already, so there will be a staff person to support you throughout the year. It'll be myself, so I will check in with you throughout the year to ask about your action plan. What's your progress so far? Are there any resources and supports that you'd like to hear about? And then I will go and look for those resources and connect you with the people that you need to be able to carry out that work. So overall, I really do hope that this toolkit serves as a roadmap for you, but a flexible roadmap, and that it keeps us all accountable together to welcoming an inclusive community, but reminds you that you're not alone in doing this work, and that there's a lot of value and knowledge that each of your organizations brings to this work, and that we can benefit from learning with each other, partnering up to do that work. Yes, so in terms of the timeline then, You can start endorsing the charter in November, and the last date to sign up will be in April, and that is to ensure that you have at least 6 months to think about your action plan and to start conducting some of the commitments you outlined on there. And during that implementation process, we will be organizing meetings with other employers so you can hear about the challenges they're facing, the best practices that they're working on. So that gives you access to a community of practice. And also to check-in meetings with myself, as I had mentioned. And then we'll meet back again in October of next year for a similar event where we'll come together and not only celebrate, but recommit to new goals and to learn from each other. I hope that makes sense, but there's lots of time for me to flesh it out afterwards if you have questions. It's all detailed in the booklet. We spent a long time working on it, so I appreciate if you could read it. I feel like a teacher lecturing, read your syllabus. But you know how to contact me if you have questions. And yeah. Okay, moving on to the next section, which I'm super excited for, is our employer panel. So over the last 6 months, I have had the honor to work closely with 4 local organizations during the pilot program, and I'd like to invite them up. So Jennifer McKeiver from Dynacast, Lindy, Finlan from Fourth Line Theater, Madison Beausoleil from Alternatives Community Program Services, and Denise McCracken from Showplace Performance Center. Please give them a round of applause. I have their bios online, but it's hard to see that, but there will be a time for you to introduce yourselves. I want this conversation to be informal, so if you're nervous to shake it off, I'm nervous too. I'm just excited to get started. So I will ask each of the speakers to, please introduce yourselves and provide a summary of the work that you do at your organization. Pass it on to Abby.
First up.
Hi everyone, my name is Madison Beausoleil. I'm the Office Coordinator in Alternatives Community Program Services. We support adults 18 plus with intellectual or any type of disability, and we have a staff of about 30 people, and we support close to 500 people and their families.
Good morning, my name is Denise McCracken. I serve on the board of directors for the Showplace Center for Performing Arts, and I've been doing that for about almost 3 years coming up, and we've been very excited about the work we've been doing, and we'll talk about it a little bit later on. When we talk about our workplace, it includes our formal staff, but also our volunteers and our board of directors. So that's really been the focus of our work at Showplace.
My name is Lindy Finlan, General Manager at Fourth Line Theater, and if you don't know Fourth Line, we're just down in Melbourne, 20 minutes south of here, outdoor summer theater company. And so for the organization, very small organization and grows seasonally. So there's just 5 of us, 4 full-time, 1 part-time working year-round. And so as you can imagine, I always my joke is I generally manage because we sort of are doing it all for what becomes a gigantic organization each summer. I guess in this context, it's interesting because we're such a small team and then grow every year with upwards of 200 people, volunteers, staff, and then we invite 15,000 people out to see the shows. So lots of stakeholders involved at Fourth Line.
I'm Jennifer McKeiver, the HR manager at Dynacast. So we're a manufacturing company. We're die casting and produce parts for various industries. We have about 160 employees, so a pretty large group, about 30 office staff, and then about 130 comprised of our production areas, tool room, maintenance, and quality. Michelle and I had connected probably a year or 2 ago about we were looking for an instructor to come to our facility to lead some English language classes. for some employees that need some support. And the Canadian Center was very helpful in helping us get that set up. So when we heard about the pilot project and the charter, we decided to sign up as we thought this was an area that we were lacking in. So it's been great, and we're happy to be here today to share our experience and hope we'll help other employers.
Thank you so much. So you can see it's quite a diverse group of employers, and we are four, but we are mighty, and I really learned a lot from all of you throughout this process, so thank you for sharing your experiences and really being willing to be here today. And so I've had the chance to connect with each of you one-on-one, but our audience may have not. And I do want to give a shout out to all the colleagues and coworkers who came to support them as well. I think it's important to show up. But could you share a little bit about why it was important that you participated in this charter and how participating in it has influenced your approach to inclusion at your workplace?
So I just think due to the nature of people that we support, we strive to be inclusive and provide a supportive environment for not just the people that we support, but the staff as well. So it was important when I signed up for this, it wasn't more for the people that we supported, it was more for the staff. I wanted to make sure that we do a good job in that individuals feel, but maybe not so strong on the staff side of things. So that was a big reason why I signed up. Many things have changed for the better. We have adapted many new tasks and stuff in the list that Michelle was able to provide with us. So yeah, we learned a lot from the pilot project, and we were very happy to be a part of it as well.
At Showplace, we found that this project came at a very fortuitous time because we had been working on a strategic plan and had created a DEI ad hoc committee, which has now become a standing committee, which incorporates some community partners. So we knew we were moving ahead. We just didn't quite have the plan on how to get there. And we found the toolkit that Michelle provided to us very helpful in making a plan on where to go and to monitor ourselves. We've actually come up with a plan on revisiting the toolkit and do our self-assessment, and that was very, very helpful. In the beginning, I looked at the self-assessment, and Ken and Scott kind of we went through it, and I thought, wow, this is huge. But you know what, once you get into it, it really isn't. It really helps you to focus on the areas that you need to make change, but it also helps you celebrate the areas that you are actually doing okay on. And everything doesn't seem quite so daunting as a whole when it looks very gray. The toolkit allows you to hone in, and it's been a game changer for us, for sure. So.
Agreed, game changer. And honestly, I think we approached it like, well, we do this pretty well already, like we've really worked on in these areas, especially looking at DEI programs and initiatives, but also like how do we implement this into the day-to-day? But then going through the inventory, it's taking stock, things that you didn't know you could be doing, ideas that you've never come across. Sometimes looking at something, what does that really mean? We don't actually know what that is. You can ask Michelle. And then we were able to identify several areas where we went, oh yeah, we have work to do there. So it was like, I was thinking this morning of getting ready for Thanksgiving and going through my cupboards. Do I need new cinnamon? Like you might think you have everything in the cupboard, but it might be stale, it might need some attention, you might not have as much as you know what I mean? So I was thinking of that analogy this morning because, we thought we were doing pretty well, and I think we were, but this process helped us to identify, we didn't even think about, say, a cultural holiday policy or, things that we just hadn't even considered. And so it was very helpful. We're excited now to kind of really take the time now that we're in our off season to look at how to integrate strategies into all of our operations around these areas of sort of maybe weaknesses or areas where we can improve.
Yes, good points. I think for us, we didn't really have a lot at all to start with, so it's kind of, it's kind of overwhelming to think, where do we start? And the toolkit really gave us a good baseline. So we did establish a committee. We used the toolkit to go through the self-assessment, and that was huge because that's really what got us started in figuring out our path. And we still have a lot of work to do. But in the roughly 9 or so years I've been at Dynacast, the workforce has become a lot more diverse. So I think that this did come out at a good time, as you said. But just looking forward to what else we can do now. It's just kind of, it started to get the ball rolling, and now we just need to continue that on.
Yes, thank you so much. And thank you for being essentially our guinea pigs for this pilot. I wasn't quite sure how it was going to go, but as the process went on, I was just so impressed with your initiative and your enthusiasm in carrying out this work. Like, you really are the champions of your workplaces and advocating for this charter and gathering people at your workplace to come as committees and to work on it and provide me with updates every few months or so. And it was super exciting to hear like, the progress that you have made, because it made it feel like this project was tangible. So along that note, we talked about your motivations for joining this charter, and I'm excited to hear about if you've been able, like in these 6 short months or so, to see any real impacts or actions or changes. If you could share examples of what that looks like at your workplace. And maybe we can start with Jennifer, if you mind changing up the order, giving that over.
So I think for us it has been a little bit of a slower start, and I think partially just due to time constraints and resources, to be honest. But also I think that's not a bad thing, because of what we do, it is sometimes a big mind shift for some people. It's kind of old school manufacturing environment. Sometimes too much change at once will just throw people off or make it not seem genuine and stuff like that. So I think it's okay that we're taking a slower approach. So I'm not sure yet if we've seen a ton of tangible changes, to be honest, but I think that everything we're doing is definitely a step in the right direction. And I think, we've got training going on this week that my colleague had organized. I think that will really be one of our biggest, initiatives to come out of this. I think that will really help. But we've done a lot of other things as well, and seen some traction on those. So.
I wanted to your horn some more because I hear about it. I did, there are trainings that we recommend, but I would say Jennifer has been great because I hadn't thought about it. She contacted one of the agencies, is it Harvard HR, and asked them about, what trainings can you provide? Do you have a program that you can set up? And one of the things I learned with working or talking to someone from the manufacturing background is that they have shifts, right? So for me, it's like, yes, we can bring a trainer in at 3 o'clock for your company meetings, but for them, it's thinking about how can we find a service that can be given, presentations that can be given at like 2 a.m. in the morning, 6 a.m. in the morning, so that all of their staff has access to that knowledge and training. So I really appreciated having that knowledge, and it's certainly a challenge that not all of us deals with. So kudos to you for,
And I'll just add to that, so my colleague Zach is here, and he helped coordinate that, so I'm sure he's had some stressful debates trying to get that set up. A lot of shifts were being changed, and somebody ends up on vacation and they can't attend and things like that. So it has been a bit of a challenge getting it set up, so that is a good point. And he's the one that found the Harbor HR group, and so what they did first was they developed like a 2-hour module for most of the employees, and then the leadership group has a 4-hour session. And it's called it's called Respect, Inclusion, and Social Literacy in Today's Workplace. They put it together in sort of 8 modules within that 2-hour window, because we felt 2 hours would be long enough to get the points across, but not so long to lose people on the production floor for that time. But for example, they've done mindfulness and respect, recognizing biases and lenses, and microaggressions and ending the signal. So those are a few of the modules that they encompass in their 2-hour training period. So far it's going really well.
I won't tease more of this up because I realize you probably have your notes and I'm messing up the order of things. Yes, please let me share.
Yeah, I'm thinking of some examples, and I think one that seems so simple that we implemented this summer, we have company potlucks. We have a few, I think, and to have that sort of tangible, like tasting each other's, special dishes, whether it's a family recipe or like a cultural traditional dish, it was huge. And we were like, wow, how haven't we been doing this?
I think NCC is also doing this for our potlucks too, so we'll always advocate for potlucks, and we have folks, who are vegetarian or gluten-free and all that things, and it's interesting. I tried to find vegetarian oyster sauce and had to visit many grocery stores to find it when I had the stir fries, and it's fun though. It's fun to think about how you can be creative with dishes, but also have as many people taste it as possible. And in fact, I just thought of it. We're doing this KD challenge for United Way, and then there's gluten-free options too, and then there's people who are lactose-free, and so it really makes you think, like, how can I make this dish most appealing to people? So really cool that you do so many potlucks. That's a lot for the summer. Denise?
As an organization with a lot of volunteers, primarily volunteers, I believe we have staff, we had to look at it a little bit differently in terms of how we were going to move ahead and honor our volunteers, but also stick to our principles of the UI. So it was a little bit different in Showplace. We created a strategic plan an action plan for this that would encompass the entire year. So part of it was looking at what can we do today, and some of it was very simple, putting lines in our posting, changing the wording. Some of it was simple, but this gave us an impetus to address it. And that fell to mostly the staff, but also what we've done is we've looked at trainings and sessions that would underscore our principles of, which we now call IDEA, inclusivity, diversity, equity, and accessibility, that would underscore those principles but still meet the needs of our volunteers. So, for instance, we did intense 3-hour-long with the supportive ring DEI training. We then recognized, though, that that's not going to work for all of our volunteers because 3 hours is a long time. So we then did a condensed version for some of our volunteers. It was about an hour and a half. And we've since done, just a week and a half ago, washing my shoes. I could get the name wrong. That was open to anybody that was volunteers, board of directors. We felt it was very important that we have representatives of the board of directors and the staff and the volunteers. That the work of the EI and the work of the action plan is not just for the full-time staff. It's something that we all have to appreciate and honor and reflect it in the work that we do, regardless of the committee we sit on or the people we work with. So I'm not sure if that got to where you're going, but we do have, what has been good is, especially for Showplace, because over the summer we aren't that active, to be able to sort of plan out for the next year on where we're going to go. And that has been very helpful.
And I'm part of the IDEA committee for Showplace. It's been a pleasure working with them over the past year and just being a part of each process in them designing that action plan and carrying it out. And so I did attend the Time in My Shoes training that was organized by the Council of Persons with Disabilities last weekend, and it was really eye-opening for me. We had a chance to test out wheelchairs, we put on goggles that impaired our vision, we learned how to ask for consent to be able to support folks with disabilities, and although a lot of volunteers already knew some of these things, because we were able to interact in Showplace, they really got a sense of, it's great that we did this, but there are some things that we still need to work on, because now that I've experienced it, I can understand the nuances of what it's like controlling a wheelchair was so difficult for me when I was doing it. It takes a lot of strength to roll it, and then any sort of incline or not smooth surface adds an added obstacle, and I really appreciated being able to experience that. And yeah, there's so much that we could do to improve the experience for folks. So yeah, it was great. Thank you for providing that training and letting me interact with your volunteers who are lovely. Maddie.
So we accomplished a lot throughout the last 6 months, technically 5 months, but yes, give or take. Some existing HR policies, procedures, the exit interview, job postings, interviews, all that fun stuff. Not so fun stuff, but very easy switches. With the employees, staff social events, we did a drink day, a national, so you bring a drink from your heritage, easy peasy but fun, so much fun. We did staff fact sheets, I did staff fact sheets, just because we're a small organization. I kind of went around to each of the staff and just your likes, your dislikes, stuff like that. Accessibility training done by a staff that has a physical disability as well, so that was very beneficial. Our website design, we're getting a new website, just so that it's more accessible for users. Staff meetings, we have a staff event checklist, dietary needs, all that fun stuff. And it's a 2-page sheets that we use every time that we're having a meeting, an event, stuff like that. So yeah, we were able to accomplish a lot of small things, and there's still way more on the list that needs to get done, hopefully, within the next few months. So we're excited to continue the pilot project and the initiatives that Michelle has given us. Small things, but makes a huge difference for the staff at Alternatives.
Thank you. And I was just thinking today, Alternatives is actually one of the first organizations that showed interest, because last year the Chamber of Commerce held an event here talking about mental health for employees. And I think it was Jackie that was sitting in the audience. And yeah, they reached out and was like, I want to know about the toolkit. Like, can you let me know how we can get involved? So I'm super excited that you were able to participate in the pilot, and we have a lot to learn from you as well. So yeah, excited to work together some more. So now that we have a little bit of context about each of the organizations, I'd like to direct a specific question to each of you, knowing that you come from different backgrounds and have various expertise. And Jennifer, you talked about this a little bit, but I'm wondering if you could elaborate more. So Dynacast is a mid-sized manufacturing company, and we've talked about how the workforce is becoming increasingly diverse. You're hiring a lot of newcomers. We did the English in the Workplace program. And so I'm wondering, from your perspective as an HR manager, what are the distinct challenges that a company of your size and industry goes through, and how does that affect how you carry out inclusion initiatives? And more interestingly too, what strategies have you found effective to deal with those challenges? Yes, so touched on a few, but definitely, as I mentioned, that sort of that old school mindset that a lot of employees have. We have employees that have been, so before Dynacast bought the company, it was Fisher Gage, so a lot of them from Peterborough probably recognize that name. So, we have employees that have been with us for over 40 years. A lot of, just that kind of, that's how it's always been, or that sort of mindset. Hard to make change in that sense. Also, I think sometimes employees will view initiatives like this as sort of a corporate thing, right? Well, corporate's making us do it, it's a mandate, like it's just something on paper, and that's been a challenge as well. As well, maybe just some limited understanding of, what inclusion actually means. Some people may not realize the value of that. Even some of our supervisors and managers might not realize what it truly means, and it can be hard to get people's buy-in sometimes, and taking the issue seriously. And then, as we mentioned, sort of on the logistics side, we're looking at our shift work, with our shift patterns, scheduling our time, and then, we are fairly lean. So even though we have 160 employees, it's a lean place, not a lot of time to work on initiatives. So that, for me personally, has been a big challenge, just not having a lot of time to dedicate towards our projects and endeavors. So, like I mentioned, we did establish a committee. I think that was, that's basically what we did first, because we wanted to get different employees to participate. We did get a variety of different departments that were able to attend. And we've been meeting weekly, which has been really great to help us move forward on our initiatives. And I think, like I mentioned, just kind of slowly deploying the initiatives and training and stuff like that, and communication. So it's not overwhelming, and it's not just seen as something that corporate's pushing down, because it's not from corporate at all. It's something internally that we want to do. And then again, it's just still struggling to find time to work on our projects in some cases, but being able to share the workload with the community members, delegating some of the projects and tasks that we're working on to the team members, that's definitely helped, and getting everybody's involvement.
Do you want to share what the name of the committee is?
Oh, yes. Our committee is called the Bridge Committee, which stands for Belonging, Respect, Inclusion, Diversity, Growth, and Equity.
I know like the term DEI has been politicized in the news lately, so sometimes we do have to find creative ways to do this work and name it and still have the core of it, be those values. So we're still thinking about whether we're using DEI or not too, and I might just throw that as a pool out there. What acronym are you using right now? Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And I mentioned the growing, diversity in your workforce, but we can see that Peterborough is also changing its demographics too. So Denise, I'm wondering, at Showplace, it's a cultural institution that has been here for decades, and I'm wondering how it's grappling with keeping up with these changes and making sure that Showplace, through its audience engagement, programming, staffing, working with volunteers, how you're able to maintain an inclusive space as Showplace.
So we were fortunate at Showplace about 3 years ago. We were accessing funding to be able to do a 360-degree deep dive into the programming, the demographic, and to create ultimately a strategic plan. So what that meant is we really looked at programming and to see who it appealed to and to see how diverse it was and maybe how diverse it wasn't, and how much Canadian representation there was, and how we were representing the different cultures within the community. We did surveys of our volunteers, we did surveys of our audience members, and got a real sense of who those people were and who we were including frequently and who we weren't including as much. And that led to a strategic plan, the building of a strategic plan that one of the 3 principles is around DEI. And it's become the sort of the precept on what we look at. We used to look at our HR, we used to look at programming, and that has led to us having the standing committee now. And the good thing, I think, that's really come out of that is that we have a better sense of where we're headed, but we've also developed community partnerships with NCC, with the city, with different organizations, and we've also, one of our goals too is to look at what our media presence looks like. And so we have Clayton, who has been working on videography and Facebook and Instagram so that we can become a better representation of our community in the broad sense. And it's certainly a work in progress, but it has, Showplace, I think we're moving in a way that is more reflective of the community in which we live. And more of a heads up, and look around rather than we do this because we've always done it. And yeah, so that's, we're moving ahead, not to say that we're there, but we do have, having our strategic plan is a great base for the work that we're doing every year.
Fantastic, thank you, Denise. And we really do appreciate all the efforts you make to connect with NCC and make sure that newcomer voices are included and that we invite anyone who's not at the table to be a part of that community and to share their perspectives. And so, Lindy, you're in a similar industry. Fourth Line Theater is a nonprofit theater, and it's built on storytelling. So I'm wondering if you can speak to the core values of diversity, equity, inclusion, accessibility, belonging, and how it's not just a good business practice, but also is essential to the art of storytelling. Sure. So, in thinking about this question, I was like, I think there's a lot of assumptions around, especially theater space. Oh, of course it's inclusive, and we always look at ways to remove barriers to access for staff, volunteers, audience, accessibility, of course, in an outdoor setting can be challenging, but we've been working hard on those initiatives. But in the actual creation of the art itself, one thing that has really, I think, been very impactful in helping everyone involved to really feel like they're a part of the storytelling. So a playwright will write the play, they develop it with us, so our artistic director, Kim Blackwell, will dramaturge it, so that's like editing a play, you know? You have someone who's an outside eye looking at the play and asking you questions. So it's all done in this kind of silo. But the second you take a script to a table read, which is everybody, all of the actors have been cast, sit down and read it for the first time, that can just be simply a reading, and then, okay, director gets you on stage and you start rehearsing scenes. But what a great practice that Kim, so for example, she directed Wild Irish Geese this past summer, written by Megan Murphy. So the first day of the table read, you have not just cast, but crew members, as many people in the organization who can attend, volunteers, parents of young volunteers who might be in the show, administrative staff, we all come out to that first table read. And not only do we read through the script, but we kind of do a welcome meet and greet. As part of that, this year, Wild Irish Geese is a story about Irish immigrants coming to Peterborough in the 1800s. So it's like, okay, what are the touchstones there for everyone involved in the creative process of the show? So Kim asked, you know, go around, say your name, what you're doing this summer at the theater, and tell me who are your people, whatever that means to you. Who are your people? And so there's no wrong answer, who are your people? And it was so impactful to go around. Everybody had different types of answers, whether it was their cultural background, whether it was, you know, the people, their chosen family, whether they started telling us about, you know, a community they're part of that they're excited about. Everybody had something very particularly special to them, which helped us to understand those people better, gives you an in when to get to know that person. Oh, you know, you have this background, so do I, whatever. But also, I think, helped everybody to really automatically feel included in the story we're getting together to tell. This play we're producing about immigration, about family, about belonging and meaning. All of a sudden, that being able to talk about your people really helped everybody buy in a way that maybe they wouldn't have if we just sat down and started reading. And the process of table work that Kim does is very intense. She spends about a week with the entire cast and whoever wants to come. And they actually go line by line through the script. And every single person involved in the show who's going to be on stage, even if they're, you know, just in the background and don't have lines, they assign a word, a meaningful word to them or the character for each and every single line, and they discuss it together. So it's like, it becomes so integral to the work, and I think lends a really authentic voice to the work. And then in that process, the playwright often makes lots of changes. It becomes this collaborative process instead of just two people or one person sitting in a room writing. And it comes alive that way. And then I think also that helps to lend the authenticity to the performances of each and every single person, even if it's a 7-year-old who has no lines in the show. They now have connected to the themes and the lines in the show. And I think that comes through for audiences. Every show I've seen that's been directed that way has been so much, I guess, more authentic. So even if you come to see the show and you're not Irish or you don't have any specific connection to the story, there's so many touchstones there that are universal. So feeling like you're at a place, feeling like what's the sense of belonging, what is family, what is cultural, you know. So that whole process where we really stood back and looked at it, we were like, wow, that is one of our huge inclusion strategies that wasn't developed. It was an artistic decision by the director, but now has become such a huge piece in that sort of inclusion mandate that we have, that, yeah, we couldn't even have imagined before, I guess, until that very technical, artistic approach becomes the way that collaboration now works at the theater. And I think if anyone saw that show, I think you can really see it in the product. And it, yeah, I think just that, you know, not to get, but if everyone's bringing something to the table, into the show, like I say, then the young people running across the stage, you might not have lines, that's intentional. And I think that really spills out into our relationship and our, spending time together in a workplace becomes, we become more intentional in our everyday communication and conversations when we're doing that work, when we're working. And that's, yeah, it's really special, and I think helps folks to really bond in a meaningful way.
Thank you for sharing about that process. Yeah, I'm sure it is really amazing. I work on plays before too, and you really build a bond and get to know each other in a way that you wouldn't otherwise in most workplaces. So that's really special. Thank you, Lindy. And how many of you have been able to see the play? I didn't, but okay. Yeah, I'm really, she gave a thumbs up over there. I'm sad I missed it, but I'm grateful because you shared a lot of the tickets with our clients too, and yeah, I want to know what they thought about it, but yeah, thank you for...
Stay tuned to our season announcement later too.
There you go. Do we get a first peek?
The board has not voted on it yet.
Great. And staying on the theme of core values and mission, so Alternatives is an organization that supports people living with developmental disabilities. So how does this mission of supporting inclusion in the wider community, as you had shared earlier, how does it approach how you deal with it internally with your staff in terms of, you know, hiring, training, culture, etc.?
Yeah, so with the hiring process, right off the get-go, when we hire that staff, we make sure that all the accommodations are in place for that staff to thrive at Alternatives, whether that be a very simple adjustment or maybe an office change, anything that they need to make sure that their job can be done well. We offer training for staff for different communication styles, such as True Colors. I don't know if anyone has done True Colors, but it's a wonderful training for staff, and it definitely makes you think. It makes you work well with your staff member, especially the leadership team, just how everyone kind of works on a day-to-day basis. So we brought that into a staff training day. We promote inclusive participation in the programs we offer, all the meetings. But like I said, we really try to focus this on the staff, not so much the people who support it, just for this pilot project, just to make sure that staff, the voices were being heard, that they were on the same understanding that the leadership team was trying to promote with this pilot project. And I think we got great feedback from the staff from everything that we did, all the small changes. So that was great. And then obviously just due to the nature of people that we support, we strive to be inclusive on a day-to-day basis regardless. So when you come into the office, I hope that the families, the community partners, the staff feel included and inclusive, and they are welcome to come into our building for programs and services.
I think that's a really good reminder, because I'm sure a lot of organizations here, we provide services to community members, but I think it's a good reminder to have that it starts at your own workplace with your own colleagues and teams, right? It's building that culture of, you know, trust and feeling like they can come to work with a sense of belonging, and when your cups are full in that way, you have more to give back to your community. So, you know, I think we're all doing our best to do that on a daily basis, and yeah, I want to thank you for all the work that you put into committing to doing this and leading the way along with the support of your colleagues. So we are coming towards the end of the panel, so I'd like to ask you to leave a few words of advice or just, you know, lots of last thoughts with the audience here about your experience in the pilot and just looking forward on your inclusion initiatives. So it's a free-for-all. Who would like to start?
I was just saying, so small changes make a big difference. We did many small changes, and then they made a huge difference in the day-to-day function with the staff. So any small change that you guys are able to do, and I don't see why no one would want to make the small changes within your organization or company or whatever it is, because I think everyone's, the willingness to grow and to thrive and to be a better agency and welcoming space for everybody is definitely important.
I would say two things. One is to have a committee that has a representation of all the groups that are in your organization so that the work doesn't fall to one person. And the second thing would be having an action plan or a template that you can go back to over and over again, and you can see we came up with one that has timelines, who's responsible for it, how do we know when we accomplish it, and that gives us a tool to see where we need to go and if we've gotten there, and who's responsible for it. So that's been helpful for us, for sure.
Yeah, and I think to your point of having representation from all the sort of groups within your organization, as a small organization with 5 staff, in our staff meetings now, we've introduced this idea of just new ideas at the end of the staff meeting. For each staff member to, of course there's management, and a lot of times it's tasks being sent sort of down the chain, but it's like, well, what are your ideas? What are new approaches? Just any idea, as small as it may be, can make a real difference, but also staff feeling like their voice is important. Maybe we're not going to implement those things, but they've had an opportunity to have that input. And I think as far as management goes, approaching things with humility, whether it's a cultural humility or just a humility around, maybe we've always done our staff Christmas dinner this way, but what are ways we can look at slightly changing it or majorly changing it that are going to mean everybody's going to come, or everybody's going to be included.
I would say for us, it was really using the toolkit and the resources. So if you are thinking about getting started, definitely use the resources that are available. And again, for us, it's taking a little bit at a time. Like it's not going to change things overnight. So recognize that, and it's a journey. It's not going to be, next week everything's all good. It's going to be a long process, and probably just ongoing. We don't plan to stop. And just keep going and going, and make sure we roll out with the initiatives that way. And then, you can incorporate some fun things into it too. We've had some good suggestions today from the panel on fun things you can do to just get that engagement from your employees. So I think that's also a good way to get things going.
Thank you so much. Can we give a round of applause for Well, it's been a pleasure working with you over the past 6 months on the pilot, and I'm sure it won't be the last that I see you. I'm going to chase you down. Please be our first ambassador signing on to the charter, and I didn't pay them to say all these nice words about it. You can ask them honestly about it later when they're not on the stage with the lights on them. So thank you again, Jennifer, Lindy, Maddie, Denise, and yes, thank you. You'll stick around, right, for questions afterwards? Yes. Okay. No. Okay. No, I wouldn't put that on you. So thanks. Feel free to take a seat, and we'll transition to the next part of our event.
Take Michelle's note and try to shake off our nerves right now. We're not usually in a presenting way. So my name's Kathy.
My name's Philip.
We are the owners of Milk and Tea, which is a bubble tea cafe just downtown Peterborough, right underneath the clock tower. We have recently launched a program called Growing Confidence. Our Growing Confidence is all about empowering independence through experience. But before we go into that, we'll just talk a little bit about us, our background, and how we became part of the in Peterborough. So we founded Milk and Tea 4 years ago during the middle of the pandemic. Our goal really was to bring diversity into the town. As a Peterborough native, I was born and raised here, moved up to Toronto for school. We really wanted to be able to move back. We had a young child at that time. I wanted to be closer to family, but my main goal was how do we create a safe place in town. Again, as parents, my parents were immigrants in Peterborough over 40 years ago. I understand the difficulties that they faced while growing up in Peterborough, owning a small business. So one of the main things we wanted to really do is to create a safe place in our cafe. So more than just serving bubble tea, we wanted to be able to have people come in of all sorts of backgrounds, race, genders, how they identify themselves, and just come in. They don't have to purchase a drink or a treat or anything, and just be able to come into our space to feel included. So then, recently we have partnered up with DSA, which is the Down Syndrome Association of Peterborough, where they came in once a week to our shop to run their program. And our goal through there was to be able to allow members to have real hands-on experience, whether that was to have customer service, baking, something outside of their simulated classroom workplace that they're used to, where they're kind of just practicing on one another. We wanted to be able to create a space for them to be able to come in and interact with everyday people, understand real-life challenges that they may face, and also be able to challenge themselves and push themselves. So we have 3 different pillars that we work on at Burn Confidence.
Okay, yeah, so one of the pillars that we really wanted to explore, especially with our member, was the concept of having real life experience in a cafe, whether it was in, whether it's making the drinks or offering customer service to individuals, giving them the opportunity to speak with people and be comfortable with doing that. We also understand that each member is very different. Some members enjoy the aspect of speaking to people, whereas some kind of shy away from it. So we actually offer a lot of opportunities for them to bake and do other things behind the scenes, which kind of allows them to do, both the front of the cafe and behind the scenes as well.
Through the program too, we thought it was very important for them to be able to learn their own skill sets. So when they are alone at home, they want to know how to make a sandwich, make a drink, and be able to do things independently without needing the assistance of their guardian with them at all times, because it is straining on family members as well, trying to navigate their schedules and their needs as well. So a big component of it was teaching them independence. Another component for us is the custom growth goals. So we sit down with the members and their guardians, if they wish, on what are their dreams and aspirations in life. We have a member, Matthew, who wants to be a performer. So we're working with him on doing dance classes and eventually vocal and acting and getting him out of his shell and performance ready. We have Danielle, who is an avid baker, and she wants to be able to bake at a larger scale. So we introduce a lot of baking in our shop made by her, and there's a lot of fails and a lot of success. And so it's all about that learning process for them in a real life environment. And then the last part is the enrichment and exploration, because we need a little bit of fun in life as well. So we take them out to other local businesses. Again, we mentioned we do weekly yoga at a local studio. We also do local weekly dance classes where we get them to move their bodies and understand the importance of exercise and mental health and physical health as well. So the main thing, why did we start Brewing Confidence?
Yeah, so to really give you a little backstory, Steph was the stand-in executive director for the Down Syndrome Association, which was a really big customer of ours. And she would come into the shop and talk about how it was very hard for her to find programs for her members and ways to find more opportunity. So that's really where it kind of started, and that idea really blossomed to what we have today. We found that that the members really needed something else to do outside of high school, because once high school is done, they found out a lot of programs are actually not running. There's really nothing for them. So they have to find, so we thought that it would be really great to find some sort of structure, so sort of a plan for them to have, not only for those 8 weeks that we have planned, but like a structure and a pathway for them to maybe potentially find a career outside.
So then our response, as we've been mentioning, we created an 8-week program, very hands-on, and it's based on their family's needs. So we have members that are with us for 2 weeks, some with us for 3 weeks, and then we offer all the way up to 5 days a week as well, depending on what their needs are. And again, we're designed for hands-on job experience and life and career skills. Our goal at the end of them is for them to be confident, to be able to potentially walk into a workplace and be able to have an interview successfully and be able to add stuff to their resumes of being able to, I've worked at a cafe, I've worked in a bakery, and then we're also working with them on placements at other small businesses as well. As I mentioned, Danielle is very passionate about working in a bakery, so we're partnering with a local bakery that does things at a larger scale than what we are able to offer, and doing placements with them where she's able to go in and see how a bakery operates. And again, it's all about that real life experience for them, beyond what they can learn by themselves and after high school.
So yes, so their goal is to empower our members through the experience that's given to them. So, you know, having structure, having routine, coming to work every day and understanding things like health and safety, and holding them to the same type of standard that we would hold our employees. You know, where we find that giving them the opportunity and the responsibility, it really helps them keep them engaged and feel like they're responsible for something. And I feel like that's been really, really good. Yeah.
Why does this all matter? Again, there's very limited opportunities for these individuals to grow beyond high school and outside of their regular household. So we really want to be able to give them the opportunity to meet members of our community, grow their network, feel confident in themselves, and hopefully build connections and also build friendships out of this as well. It's really fun to see how a lot of them have come out of their shell and really glow and wanting to have their family members and their friends and their people come in and see them in their everyday environment, because this is a dream of them that a lot of them might have felt limited on being able to access. And so again, it's all about the opportunities for them and being able to strengthen our community as well, bring awareness on how we can be inclusive to everyone, regardless of the background.
Yeah, I think a really big component is like just to really provide an opportunity. I feel like once they're given the opportunity, it's honestly, we have a lot of fun, and it's amazing what they actually can really do. Right? I feel like that sometimes with some people who have physical disabilities, you feel like, you know, they may not be able to do certain things, the challenges, but like, I don't know, the last few weeks has been incredible on what they can actually do, just giving them that chance.
With that being said, we have some challenges as well. One is exposure and marketing. Like any business here, we've been doing PR pitches and reaching out to news outlets, and unfortunately none of them are picking up our stories. So it's about, we've been doing a lot of organic grassroots marketing on trying to reach out to the different members on being able to have them join our program, but also having our network of small businesses that would want to partner with us and doing interviews, or again, like placements with them once a week for an hour so they get that real life exposure beyond just our cafe setting. So our goal for Matthew is can he maybe work at the theater, or how he can go beyond his cafe experience on being able to reach his goal of being in front of the camera. And then Danielle, again, avid baker, on being able to get that placement in the bakery, which we're so thankful for to be able to work on, and giving her those real life experiences that she can kind of grow on after the fact. It goes on to our next challenge, which is the partnership and growth without that marketing and media coverage. It's a lot of word of mouth. It's us reaching out to the small businesses. And there's so many amazing businesses locally that we're not aware of. So being able to reach out to them and share our program with them to hopefully then, if they have the space to be able to hire an individual after our program, or again, continue with their placements. And then space. We have a very small cafe, and it's hard for us to run certain activities in our cafe. So we try the best that we can within our shop, but there's some activities that we require to do outside of our cafe, which we have been able to work with our dance instructor and our yoga studio, but beyond that, some of the partnerships that we have don't have a space, and so it's about navigating on how can we find that space for them to be able to work on their vocals and acting that's not also disrupting our everyday businesses as well. And then funding. Everything costs money. We want to support other local businesses. We're not looking for handouts, and so being able to afford us to be able to pay for the yoga lessons, the vocal lessons, and whatnot beyond what our cafe is being able to offer. Yeah, that is our program. We're in confidence. We have amazing members. Again, they amaze us every single day. It's a great experience for our staff as well. We have 3 additional staff members, which we train to be able to help lead this program as well, to bring that inclusivity and bring it into the community. Thank you.
I think it's really cool to have second generation folks like you, like open up businesses and bring bubble tea to Peterborough. Like, I don't think you know how exciting it is for someone like me to see that. And my cousin worked at your store, and yeah, David. So you're providing employment opportunities to like new generations and also creating such impact in the community. I see you at all of the community events selling your bubble tea and just like having pop-ups and workshops at your cafe, and I hope that you continue to see a lot of success and support, and you even have a discount in our welcome pass for our clients. So yeah, I mean they're doing amazing things. I hope you're able to have a chat with them, and yeah, thank you for all your support.
I think it's, just as a little personal note, I think it's kind of funny because growing up, my parents owned a small business in town, and when I moved off to Toronto for university, their one goal was don't come back. You're in a big city, you have so much opportunity, and I worked the corporate job for many, many years, and then when we moved back to Peterborough, my mom asked, like, what are you guys going to do? And I told her, we're going to open up a shop, and she was very hesitant. Her and my dad worked so hard for us to get out of that immigrant lifestyle of working and grinding it out and owning a business, and they just wanted, the dream was the corporate job. But now when we sit down with both of our parents and tell them what we're doing at our shop, it's more than, again, just bubble tea and more than a small shop, and how we're reaching out to the community and being involved and understanding, again, the struggles. I think they're proud of us on being able to grow beyond than just a store. So.
Lindy? No, sorry. Jennifer, I was just thinking, because you're in a bigger organization, company, and males and females, and I was wondering how difficult it was for you to get your committee, and was it volunteer, right? Because your employees have been there 40 years and change is really hard. So I was really interested in your story and how that went.
So it was not voluntold in this case. Surprisingly, we had a posting up, and we actually had some people that signed up. So we have, I think, maybe 6 or 7 employees that attend, and from different departments as well, and a mix of male and female. So actually, just kind of naturally came to be, which we're really happy with. I was surprised. I wasn't sure how many people would have participate, but I think maybe other people recognized that we could do things in that area. So luckily we got a good turnout, and it's been a really good group to work with.
And it's represented by a whole bunch of different groups, right?
Yeah, so we have a few salaried employees, a few hourly employees. We have somebody from our machine shop, we have somebody from our custodian is part of it, and then just a few office staff as well, so yeah, it's a good mix of employees.
Hello, thank you everyone so much for presenting. I'm Patrick, I work in Finlan here at the NCC with Michelle. First off, I'm a milk and tea loyalist, so thank you so much. I have questions for you guys after, but I just have a question for the panel. For those staff that aren't as responsive to DEI initiatives, or bridge initiatives, let's say, what's kind of the strategy from the employer side or the HR perspective? Do you have strategies instead of calling people out, kind of calling them in? What are your thoughts around that? Have you had to deal with any particular challenges with staff? Anything you'd like to share? Any insights?
Great question. For sure, even in a small organization, there's definitely challenges around folks who either feel like I'm fine, like I don't need to change anything I do, or I don't agree with this, those kind of barriers that can come up. And I think for us, one thing we started was doing one-on-ones. We hadn't been doing one-on-ones with like a manager or supervisor and the staff member. So instead of it becoming like coming out in an email, right? Hey everyone, do this online training and now just be better. You know, like having those one-on-one conversations, we do them bi-weekly with core staff, and then in the summer it's really difficult, but we managed to do it with 3 managers meeting with the 70 employees we have in the summer, and it actually just fostered more natural conversations that came up, and people who maybe felt resistant to some of these inclusion initiatives that we were mandating or asking everyone to participate in. It became more of a one-on-one ability to have those more difficult conversations. It's not in front of a group of people. It's not just in a staff meeting, let's say. It's hard to take the time to do it. It's a lot of time. And I found I had to time them 15 minutes because sometimes it becomes like a therapy session and I'm not a therapist. But it was really effective because I feel also that alone helped people to feel included in themselves, like their voices were important, and a safe space, just kind of a one-on-one where things can come up and might not be comfortable to talk about in front of the group. So for us, that's been huge. Like I say, a huge commitment for management to do it, and very time-consuming, but I think overall worth it. It mitigates some of the HR stuff that could come up otherwise, maybe.
Just to go off of that, so we are a female-dominated agency. We only have 2 male staff that work with us, and we do have 2 other males, but they're just very part-time. And so I went up to the male staff and I said, one of you have to be on like the DEI committee, please, very nicely. And of course, he was willing to be a part of it, and that was great. Other than that, we have great staff buy-in, lots of committees, subcommittees, so we kind of ask staff to be on one committee. We have about 7 in our agency, so just spread the wealth a little bit. But it's this, because we're such female dominated, I really wanted a male staff on the DEI committee just to have some feedback, because we do a lot of soup days and we do a lot of walking groups and we do a lot of stuff like that. So now we do like a hockey pool and we do a baseball pool and like that kind of stuff. So it's nice to get some male some feedback from the male side as well. Yeah. Anyone else?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Are there certain types of organizations you're specifically looking to partner with in Peterborough at this time? Like you mentioned partnerships and small businesses, and I'm just because there's a room of folks here, I wondered, like, is there anything in particular you're looking for at this time?
I think we're open to all opportunities.
We are open to any partnership. I think the big thing is what our members need now, opposed to all the partnerships that we can make. I think it's really important because we try to cater our program to the specific individual. We do keep our groups very small, so that we can really kind of like hone in on what their specific goals are, whether it's the career path that they want to move forward with, whether it's a personal kind of pillar that they want to work on. But acting in forefront doesn't work.
He's very passionate about Elvis, so Elvis incorporated into that.
Hi, I've never been to the conference, but I know people now. And I'm just curious, if in the future there are needs that you have, how do we hear from you? What platforms are you on that you can stay connected to some of the community partners here can keep in mind and future, online performing, and making what some of your members need?
Yeah, so our main, way we communicate to everyone is through Instagram, social media. We do have a website also that highlights our program where you can fill out a form, whether you want to register as a member or partner with us. But our best way is social media.
I'm really good with awkward silences. Okay, maybe I'll just leave with one last question. What are you looking forward to this year? And in terms of imagining an inclusive Peterborough, what is the one thing that your mind is set on committing to and liking to see? Sorry if that was the word. Anyone? Maybe just one word. What do you want to see?
At Showplace, we're looking forward to reaching out to diverse groups in the community and partnering for the Lunar New Year, partnering for Black History Month, and bringing people into the space in a multi-arts way that isn't simply, not just, but it's more than performance, it's visual art, it's music, it's, how can we be more things to more people? Rather than the traditional view of what Showplace might have been in the past. So we have those sort of ideas in place, and we're looking at working more closely with our First Nations communities.
Sometimes that you're not thought of or you don't think to go to things like this. So to really be mindful around those kind of community connections or collaboration.
I think for me, it's probably just growth and acceptance. I know there's a lot of members here today, and we're learning lots, but how can we actually grow from it and implement it and accept it into our everyday practice?
Thank you so much. Can we give one more round of applause